Caroline Bradley stood at the wide glass window of her 38th floor Manhattan office, the skyline sprawling before her like a sea of glittering steel and light. The Empire State Building rose proudly in the distance, while closer, yellow cabs crawled through the narrow veins of traffic below. From this height, the city looked orderly, measured, composed. It was a contrast to the storm of emotions she kept carefully locked inside. On her desk sat neatly stacked documents, thick binders divided with color-coded tabs, each shade representing a client portfolio, each file reflecting her meticulous attention to detail. This was her domain, an environment where order prevailed, numbers balanced, and solutions could always be found. A gentle knock broke her concentration. "Here are the materials for your 2 o'clock appointment with the Hopkins couple," her secretary, Jennifer, said as she stepped in, holding a leather folder. Caroline turned, her lips softening into a professional but warm smile. "Thank you, Jennifer," she said, taking the file. Her voice carried the steady calm of someone accustomed to responsibility, and yet, behind it, there lingered a gentleness that only those closest to her ever saw. As a senior financial advisor at Wells Fargo, Caroline was known for her precision and integrity. She had risen faster than most, becoming the youngest senior manager in her division, entrusted with the assets of high-net-worth families and corporations. Colleagues admired her, clients swore by her judgment. To outsiders, she was the embodiment of success, poised, elegant, and in control. But success in skyscrapers meant little when the foundation of her own family life was cracked. Her career soared, but her personal ties felt like a rope slowly fraying under constant strain. Her phone vibrated, pulling her back. The name flashing on the screen made her pause. "Amanda." She hesitated, then answered. "Caro." Amanda's voice burst through, light and cheerful as always. "Perfect timing. I'm so glad you picked up. Listen, I need a little help. The venue for the baby shower? The final payment is due today. Could you maybe cover it with your card?" Caroline's jaw tightened. She closed her eyes briefly, inhaling slowly before speaking. "Amanda, I just helped with your credit card bill last month. How much are we talking about now?" "Only $3,000, Amanda replied breezily, as if the sum were pocket change. "Don't worry, I'll pay you back next month. Promise, please, Caro. It's my first baby. I want everything to be perfect." Caroline pressed her fingertips against her temple. She loved her sister, but this was not new. Amanda, the glamorous weather forecaster with the flawless hair and radiant smile, was adored by her television audience and equally indulged by their mother. But behind the charm was a trail of maxed-out cards, impulsive shopping, and a steady reliance on Caroline's generosity. "Amanda," she said gently but firmly, "this has to be the last time. We'll talk about this properly on the weekend." You're a lifesaver. I love you, Caro," Amanda gushed, relief washing over her tone. "I'll let Mom know. You'll make her so happy." Caroline ended the call, staring at the reflection of her own face in the glass, a face calm and controlled, but weary. In her mind, another face appeared, her mother, Judith, elegant even in her 60s. Judith carried herself with the same beauty Amanda had inherited, but her words still echoed like a refrain Caroline had heard since childhood. "Caroline, you're the older sister, so of course you should help Amanda." She had heard it so many times it had practically become her family's motto. Judith's eyes had always sparkled with pride when looking at Amanda, while Caroline received nods of approval only when she played the role of provider, problem solver, fixer. Caroline opened her banking app. Numbers stared back at her, healthy balances in her primary accounts, the fruit of years of discipline and long hours. But in the account labeled family support, the withdrawals told another story: Christmas parties, her father's 60th birthday, her mother's extravagant birthday trips, Amanda's engagement party, then her wedding. Caroline had footed the bill for all of them, the unspoken expectation reinforced again and again with the phrase, "Because you're the big sister." Her father, Thomas, a gentle, retired teacher, had never challenged it. He loved his eldest daughter, yes, but his aversion to conflict meant he usually looked the other way. "Dad, this isn't fair," she had once said. And his answer had always been the same: "Caroline, family supports each other. You've been blessed with success, it's only right to share it." She respected him, but his silence often felt like quiet betrayal. Caroline glanced down at the files on her desk. Her habit of record-keeping, her obsession with precision, it wasn't just professional discipline, it was survival. From childhood, she had learned that in her family, truth was malleable, rewritten to fit convenience. If she didn't track facts, she would be buried beneath accusations of selfishness, or erased from her own story. So she kept records, every dollar, every favor, every promise broken. What began as scribbles in childhood notebooks had evolved into meticulously coded folders, both digital and physical. It had served her career well, but more than that, it was her shield. She glanced at her calendar. Amanda's baby shower was now 1 week away. Caroline already knew how it would unfold, an extravagant display orchestrated by Amanda and Judith, wrapped in smiles and laughter. And then, like always, the bills would find their way to her hands, because she was the big sister. The intercom buzzed. Jennifer's clear voice came through. "Ms. Bradley, the Hopkins couple has arrived in the lobby." Caroline inhaled, forcing her mind back to the present. "Thank you, Jennifer. Please show them in." She rose from her chair, adjusting the collar of her tailored navy suit. Her reflection in the window looked back at her, composed, graceful, unshaken. That was her armor. No matter what storm brewed behind her, Caroline Bradley never lost her poise. But deep down, as she reached for the file in front of her, she knew something had to change, and that change would begin soon. Caroline's expression didn't change, though her pulse quickened. Amanda approached with her mother Judith at her side, their heels clicking against the polished marble floor of the ballroom. Both wore satisfied smiles, as though the bill were nothing more than a trivial formality. "You said you'd pay the full amount, right?" Amanda's tone was light, but the glint in her eyes was expectant, almost demanding. Judith added without hesitation, "Because we need to save money for the baby. You're the big sister, so you can afford it, right? You always say family comes first." The words landed heavily, like an old refrain Caroline had heard all her life. Around the room, relatives and acquaintances sipped champagne, pretending not to notice the exchange, but their sideways glances and hushed whispers betrayed them. Everyone was watching. Caroline reached for her champagne flute. The waiter had filled it without her asking, perhaps sensing she might need it. She lifted it slowly, letting the bubbles rise and tickle her lips, then set the glass down with deliberate grace. A faint smile touched her face as she looked at her mother and sister. "Don't worry," she said evenly, "I'll take care of everything." Relief washed over Amanda's face, and Judith exhaled with satisfaction. But in Caroline's eyes, there was a flicker of something new, calm calculation mixed with quiet defiance. Judith's smile faltered. "Caroline, are you thinking about something?" Caroline tilted her head, her lips curving again into that serene smile. "Nothing. I'm just willing to do anything for family." The words sounded dutiful, but Judith caught the edge beneath them. Caroline lifted her glass once more, this time letting her gaze wander. She studied the glittering chandeliers, the mountain of wrapped gifts, the designer gowns shimmering under the golden light. Laughter floated through the air, but none of it reached her. To the guests, it was a celebration. To Caroline, it was a stage, one she was finally ready to use. She slipped the bill into her handbag and rose. "I'm going to get some fresh air," she announced lightly. No one paid much attention as she exited. The music swelled, conversations resumed, and Amanda began fussing over her makeup for the photographs. Caroline stepped into the quiet hallway, her heels muffled against the plush carpet. She stopped at the large window at the end of the corridor. Manhattan stretched out before her, twilight deepening into a sea of violet and amber. For a moment, she simply breathed, centering herself. Then she pulled out her smartphone. The screen lit up, and with a fingerprint press, she unlocked it. An app opened, one not for social media, nor work, but her private archive. Rows of neatly organized files appeared, labeled with dates and names. It was a personal ledger of every financial transaction, every favor she had provided for her family, every instance of exploitation dressed up as family duty. Her thumb scrolled through photos of receipts, scanned bank statements, and copies of emails. Years of silence, documented line by line. "Indeed, everything is ready," she whispered. Switching apps, she typed a short, Precise message. Executing Operation Green. Please do a final check of all documents. The reply came within seconds. All preparations complete. Awaiting your signal. Caroline exhaled slowly, a sense of resolve anchoring her. She had spent years collecting, double-checking, and consulting quietly with lawyers. She had played the role of dutiful daughter and selfless sister long enough. But today, at Amanda's baby shower of all places, was the final straw. She glanced at her reflection in the hallway mirror. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, adjusted her necklace, and straightened her posture. The woman staring back at her was no longer the overlooked older sister. She was someone about to reclaim the narrative. It's time to end this, she murmured. When Caroline returned, the party was reaching its peak. Amanda sat at the center of the room on a velvet sofa, glowing under the lights, surrounded by towers of pastel-wrapped gifts. "Oh, what a lovely baby monitor," Amanda exclaimed, holding up a sleek device. "Martha, John, thank you so much." Cheers and applause filled the room. One by one, Amanda unwrapped luxury strollers, miniature designer outfits, a silver spoon set. Each gift brought more squeals of delight and murmurs of envy from the guests. Caroline quietly slipped back into her seat, her presence barely noticed. She lifted her glass now and then, the picture of composure, while her mind sharpened like a blade. "Next is from Caroline," Judith announced. All eyes turned as she handed Amanda a small white envelope. Judith couldn't resist a jab. "It's awfully small, Caro." Her smile was sweet, but her voice carried a mocking edge. Amanda's fingers tore it open eagerly, only to falter. Her smile froze. Inside was not a gift card or a check, but a single sheet of paper. "A precious gift, that's it?" Amanda said, holding it up with confusion. "Is this some kind of joke?" Judith snatched the paper, flipping it back and forth. "Caroline, what is this about?" Small chuckles rippled around the room. Guests exchanged curious glances, whispering behind raised hands. All eyes were fixed on Caroline. But she remained perfectly calm, her lips curving into that same quiet smile. "The special gift is for later," she said softly. "This is Amanda's time now." Amanda's face tightened with annoyance, but she resumed opening other presents, eager to recover the mood. The room soon filled again with cheers and claps as each extravagant gift was revealed. Caroline sat in silence, her gaze steady, her champagne untouched. When the last ribbon was untied and dessert was served, the baby shower reached its climax. Amanda laughed for photographs with her friends, basking in admiration. Judith flitted from table to table, soaking in the compliments. That was when Caroline moved. She tapped her spoon lightly against her glass. The clear chime cut through the music and chatter, commanding attention. "Excuse me," she said, her voice soft yet carrying with startling clarity. "May I have your attention for a moment?" The room stilled. Glasses were set down. Forks paused midair. Dozens of eyes turned toward her. "Today is my sister Amanda's special day," Caroline began, standing gracefully and stepping toward the center. Her glass gleamed in her hand. "I'm truly happy to share this celebration of new life." Amanda blinked, uncertain. Judith frowned, sensing something wrong. "But before I give my real gift," Caroline's voice gentled, though her gaze sharpened, "please allow me to say a few words about family bonds." A hush fell. The guests leaned forward. There was something in her tone that suggested this was no ordinary toast. "I've always believed that family means supporting one another," she continued. Her eyes slid toward her father, Thomas. He shifted uncomfortably, his hands tightening around his glass. "Especially me, as the big sister." From her handbag, Caroline withdrew a sleek black folder. Its weight seemed to tilt the air in the room. Judith stood quickly. "Caroline, this isn't the place." "No, Mom," Caroline interrupted, her voice quiet but firm. "This is exactly the place, and the time." She opened the folder, revealing a neat stack of documents. "Over the past 5 years, I've paid $120,000 for family events. That includes Amanda's engagement party, her wedding, and today's baby shower." Guests rippled through the crowd. A murmur rose like a tide. Caroline flipped to another document. "Amanda, here's my credit card statement. A $5,000 handbag from Barney's. Purchased while I was in Boston on business. Amanda's face drained of color. That's not. And Mom. Caroline's voice stayed calm as she pulled another page free. This is a $7,200 spa trip in Florida. Paid with my card. Judith froze. Words caught in her throat. Caroline's voice grew steadier, colder, and most disturbing of all, she held up one last page. A credit line opened in my name, using my social security number, without my consent. The room fell into dead silence. Champagne glasses hung motionless in midair. Every gaze darted from Caroline, to Amanda, to Judith. At the head table, Thomas sat rigid, his face pale, caught between disbelief and shame. Caroline closed the folder with a quiet snap. Her calm smile never faltered. Now, the reckoning had truly begun.